测一下声音。你用你的手机就好了。好的好。我也测一下好了。哎，我突然又出来了。在 live 的。在 event 里面。有了。我到前面讲啊。哎呦，然后我只能搞砸是1个月2个月浪费掉。这样比较清楚啊。先擦了，我比一下。OK， 这样可以吗？你有想很正的，这么挑剔我都不挑了，挑。马上在内耗。
再多。对。
还蛮清楚的。Hello， 大家好。那我们。没有，我介绍我。
对，
其实是不是那边比较好啊？声音好，好，这样可以了哦，很快拍到。这样可以吗？对啊。我可以移动啊。我现在没有打断哦。其实他一直在录。OK。这么远。要不要做出来这个？哦。我在看小桃，等一下。 这边讲英文的、讲中文的举手。The people who speak English, raise your hand. English only? Okay. So this event will start with English because this is our speaker, Youjin Shin. She's from South Korea, and she's a research fellow in Sensible City Lab. She focused on data visualization for the urban planning. And this is another speaker. He is Ed. He's from Taiwan. He's a statistics master in Columbia University, and also studying the social science. He's also the website author for the 资料市场, right? Yeah. So come in. So today's event is like it's like a more like ancient level event. It's like talk about the data, how we use the data to see the life and how the data change our life. So we will start with Ed. He will talk about some basic idea about the data visualization and how people read the data nowadays. And Youjin will share some event and projects she did in MIT research lab. And after that, we could have some conversation about that. So let's wait a little bit for everyone to sit down. So this is a Café Philo, actually, sorry. This is a Café Philo event, and we started event from Taiwan, and then we started New York branch from last year. So So for the convention of the Café Philo, it's like everyone have to introduce yourself. So let's just talk like you introduce yourself and why you come here and why you're interested in the data. So start from me. I'm Yu-Ting Feng. You could just call me Jin, or if you speak Mandarin, you could call me Zhu. I'm the interaction designer now, and I'm doing site-specific design. The reason why I'm interested in the big data is because nowadays media design, we use a lot of data as a way to do dynamic media. So that's why I think it's a new trend for the media production. We skip the Youjin and Ed and jump to, let's start from here. Michael.
My name is Michael Chen. Actually don't know too much about the topic.
Hi, my name is Evelyn. I just graduated from State University, and yeah, I'm interested in future.
What's the reason? What's the reason?
Because I took some course in data analysis, such as CSS and that. So.
My name is Yu-Ting Feng. I work in I'm a programmer in pharmaceutical company. So I just here event.
My name is Taylor. I'm studying marketing right now. And I think marketing is more than creative thinking. It's more about data. Learn about your customers with those data. So I think it's very important for marketers.
My name is Yujuan. I study in Marvel Psychology School, and I don't know anything about big data, but that's why I'm here.
Hi, my name is Carrie. I'm an occupational therapist. I'm Audrey. Yeah, I'm here to learn about big data because I have no idea what it is.
My name is Shin. I'm studying geography. I have no idea about what big data is, so I hear a lot about it from my friends. So I guess this is a very good chance to know what it is really about. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Wen. I'm also a volunteer for Café Philo, and I'm a student in social psychology in the graduate center here. I'm interested in big data because I think now it's a new trend in social sciences to move towards big data, but there's also a lot of ethical issues in terms of privacy that involving in big data. So that'll be some of my questions today.
My name is Huan Rong. I just think the topic is very interesting. That's why I'm here.
My name is Hsieh. I work as a business analyst for a database company, and I've been wanting to join events from Café for passengers. So this is my 2016 resolution. I have to be here. The title is really cool around here.
Hi, my name is Alan, and I work in finance, and just want to, get involved in discussion with people from different fields, and also to learn about big data.
Hi, my name is Youjin. I'm studying in biochemistry, so I don't think about this field. But I'm here.
Okay, I'm Brian. I'm studying Chinese literature at Columbia, and I'm part of Café Philo as well. And I'm studying data. Very curious.
I'm Shane, and I'm a software engineer working for the paper. Our company is using a lot of data to do presentation and sorting, like how to use that kind of things. It might be interesting. So I'm kind of in the field, but I'm not part of data science. I'm just a different people, but I'm also interested in like how people use data.
I'm Wei. I'm looking for content and working on a genetic engineering and personal jobs. So one topic maybe has something to do with my future career, and I'm here for the sound.
Hi, I'm Edward. I'm a research at the Computer Tech Feng, and I'm the high school. That's what I'm doing. I'm Shin. I'm working on a startup company. And started physics, something that they have
I'm Ethan. I work as a hardware engineer in California. I'm here to get some training.
Hi everyone. My body I come from and I'm curious everything about these data. Hi, I'm Guy, a graphic designer at TV. I'm just interested
I'm Graham. I'm a user designer, and I'm just interested in using big data to control UX.
Maybe I could go to the here. You have some place.
Too shy. So, thank you for that. Okay.
I'm a designer. I'm just curious about big data. I want to learn more about it.
Someone really bad.
Hi, I'm Ian Lin. I
I'm interested in data science because of the big data. I kind of a trend with the big data going up, and I also have a side project I'm doing right now, which involves looking at data from NLP type of stuff.
Hi, my name is Kyron. I'm the human rights lawyer in Taiwan in the leading scholar from Dialogue for. Now, I just lead the Open Data Foundation and the Open Society Foundation in Washington D.C. this week. And then now maybe I have a chance to cooperate with Edward. So that's why.
Okay, my name is Youjin. Currently I'm a grad student in Columbia University of Study Biology. And I'm also doing some genomic analysis and related to data science. So I think that's the reason I'm here.
I'm Michelle, and I'm a graphic designer at China, and I'm interested in visualization too.
So, since everyone is ready,
That goes.
Oh, right. Sorry.
Okay, I'm Frida. I'm a management consultant. I'm a company that employs a lot of data-driven solutions, and I'm here to think about
Could you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Yenting. I just graduated from
So we still have some space in the front, so if you want, you can move. It's not mandatory. Yeah, we have a camera here. That's another issue. So it's broadcast now. Hi. So we start from that, and he will talk about what the research he's doing in Colombia and a little bit like basic idea what the big data. So just let everyone understand a little bit like background knowledge, and Youjin will share her project after that. So
hi guys. So yeah, may I know whose major is computer science or related subject? Please raise your hand, please. Okay. So do you have a rough idea about big data? Anyone? No? Okay. So yeah, our team thinks this title is more fit about our topic. And for Sherlock Holmes, big data is in the century 21. The big data is a big issue now, and there are a lot of data scientists, a lot of data analysts try to explore the big data, but actually big data has a lot of problems that need to be improved. So big data is not a big sample data, and all of you may think how big is big or not. But big samples data means the data sample size is around 1,000 or 10,000. And sample is just like the social science, they make the sampling, but it's not big data. And actually, in social science field, I study social science people, and they all said that they are big data stuff, but actually they are wrong because big data has its very specific definition. It means a data set is a convention of data set whose size, complexity, and rate of flow make them difficult to capture and manage. So actually, when you have a big data, it means maybe it's over 10 or 100 gigabytes. It's really, really big. So it needs a very specific method or tool, such as a relational database and desktop statistics or visualization package to solve it and show the audience what you found and how you explain. So why big data is important? Because big data it captures and protects the governments and companies and are able to get a more concrete understanding of their research goals, such as the behavior of clients or the products of companies, and or like the policy effects of government. But big data also comes a lot of challenges, just like Wen just said, the privacy and security is a big problem. And I have a friend, and she works in MTV, and they have a team, and they can capture which website is the, and they will analyze the report, and they will know what is your preference. Just like maybe my brother like watch the phone video, but you know the MTV know that, so they will send you a lot of videos, yeah, very sexy videos, something like that. So yeah, so it's a little bit terrible. And when my friend tell guys what she did, and everyone will feel very uncomfortable. They feel they be seen and they don't have privacy. So it's a very big issue. And when government measure these problems, they have to explore the data, the truth, and the privacy people. So government how to solve these problems is a very big issue. And the second big challenge is field of data analysis. Because my major is statistics, and statisticians to predict things before. But now, when big data issue exists, actually big data things shows it's the truth. It's not the data sample, and you need to predict. You need to build your model. So statisticians and other experts need to find a way to reanalyze the big data. And the final, I think that it's a big challenge with knowledge. It means maybe computer science and statisticians, and they got the big data, and they know how to show you guys what this is, but they need to tell some story about the data. But how do they take it? It's based on their knowledge, and such as social science, psychology, or environment, something like that. And you have to tell the people who have no idea about what is big data. Maybe they have no college degree, but you need to make them realize what you think and what your data is. So yeah, just like I said, there are many Sherlock Holmes in now, and we call them the data scientists. So the data scientists, they have a lot of skills and structure. Yeah, they have the hacking skills, just like computer science, and math and statistics, technology, and substantive expertise. It's just like I said, knowledge. Yeah. So we got all of them, and yeah, data science. It's really difficult. So now maybe data science is very hard, very sexy job. I would say that, but it's really hard to be a real data scientist.
If you're not sexy enough.
But yeah, I just want to say it's not enough. You got the data and you analyze it, but with great power comes great responsibility. So I think maybe you have to use those data to improve the world and not just make the benefits for your company. So I just have two stories about people in Taiwan who did good things. The first one is the G0B. It's not government. It's an organization, and they did a lot of cool things. Just like a visualize the government expenditure. The second one. Every bubble is the kind of the budget. It's like for the social policies or the human resources. And so it's really cool. And those guys did nothing. So you can, they make the government apparent.
So those are just the cost information, right?
Yeah, they capture the information from them.
Oh, okay.
And
what is that for? Oh, they just visualize it. Oh, okay.
The
Got
budget,
it. Okay.
they try to visualize it, and the size of it, the bubble is how much they put the money in that budget, in that field.
Okay.
So people can.
And they have a percentage on top. Okay. So what's the purpose that they want to do it? Is that?
Just try to explore the government and supervise them and.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Like before that, it's really hard for like regular people to understand.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So they try to cross the barrier for more people to understand and
Yeah,
make the
now it's
government
more transparent. Yeah.
Well, this way you can see that the national defense budget is so much more than the education.
Yeah, totally. Okay. Another question.
Yeah, sure.
What's the difference between extensional, without like having this opinion, people can feel like make it visible.
Yeah.
So that's all.
It's a very good question.
What's the question?
Why people?
Yeah, using like traditional practices, that tools to feel like collecting like information and present them in this kind of charts and graphics. So what I don't really understand why because the data and that makes it different processes. Yeah.
Have you ever heard a term called population sample? It's different. It's just like I try to study the people who sit in this room. And I just want to know the truth here. It's called we are a population. But if I only capture maybe the health of the people, it's called sample. And big samples data is sample. But big data, most big data is capture the population. So that's the difference between big data and big samples data. And actually, I talked with the professor yesterday, and he's a statistician and computer scientist, and he told me he don't think when we have big data we need to do any complicated model like the statistician did, and we only need to plot the truth. So that's why Youjin did is very useful, very helpful. We try to visualize the truth and make everyone know what's going on. The truth.
I think we will cover more later when you do the presentation.
And the second story is a girl called Hilo, and he built a platform and he captured a lot of information. Actually, this is another data. So, and it's very useful and very helpful for people who live in Taiwan because after you sit, you may apply some money subsidy from government, but you have no idea how to apply it. But in this website, she did it, and she's very popular. You can search it on Google. Yeah. And the last thing I just want to say is it doesn't matter if you give big data research or example data because I think if you can use the data to improve your work, it's more important. So, yeah. Yeah. Sorry.
Actually, there's some space here so people can move if you can actually good. So you want close to Eugene? So yeah, actually Eugene and me is like classmates. So we studying ITB at the time, and she specific like the data visualization, and she do a lot of projects. So in this presentation, some of it from MIT research, some of from her personal projects, and you're welcome to ask any questions in between. So welcome, Eugene. 안녕하세요.
안녕하세요. Hi, I'm Youjin, and I'm a data visualization specialist at NY志工West. So I'm doing the data visualization for various urban planning projects. So let me introduce some of myself briefly. So I was a mechanical engineer, and I was doing a research on mobile robotics when I was in South Korea. And I began to interested in human rights. So I was curious about human and society, and I found the data visualization interesting because data visualization helped me to understand human and society with the skills I already have. That's what I think about data and storage. So using the data analysis, we can find some information, but using that information, we can also visualize it, and then we can share it as a story. So, yeah. So, have you ever heard about the Boston? No. So, this is kind of origin of data visualization. So, in 1954 in London, a cholera outbreak killed 600 people. And John Snowy tried to visualize it in the map for the first time. So the bars there represent the number of deaths from the cholera. So he figured out that it actually comes from this area. So he figured out that the source of cholera contamination is the drinking water from the road street. The interesting thing is that before that, people think the cholera is transferred by the air. But after this finding, people started to know that the cholera is transferred by water for the first time. So I want to talk about the project, which is a little similar. So the project started from the small village in Tanzania, which is called Sherlock. So it's small and very beautiful village. But they have a serious water contamination problem. So, like the diarrhea rate in this community is really high. So I teamed up with other students, and we tested water quality there. And then we realized that testing water quality is really simple. But here in Europe, people don't test their water. And they want to believe that the water is safe. So I was wondering, like, how about my own drinking water quality? So I distributed the water quality test to the students in ITP, and people test their own water, and they report the data to me. So next is the data I got gathered from the students. As you can see, the data is actually very complicated. So I decided to map the information in the map. So this is the data I gathered from the mirror. And as you can see, there is one water is contaminated. Here, Korea. So actually, it's tap water. So I was very curious about what kind of water they are using for tap water. And then I searched Google Earth and found out that the building she's living is using the water from water. And then in New York, like traditionally over seven floors building with the water tank to have a toilet. So, and then I found the interesting article from the New York Times that there are 12,000 to 70,000 water tanks in here, and 60% of them are poorly maintained. And they also did the water testing using the 12 sample tests, and 5 of them have an E. coli and 8 of them have a phosphorus. You know, this one is like transferred by the animal species, so it means there is animal intrusion, and they actually found a dead rat. I don't know. I'm sorry.
Does that mean we shouldn't drink the tap water in the restaurant anymore?
In Korea,
be careful.
Be careful. Tap water in Korea.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and this project is about South Korea fire disaster. So last year, April, maybe some of you know about it. So there are like 496 people was on the boat, and then 290 or almost 300 people are dead and missing, and most of them are high school students. So it was like tragedy, and then it was on the news for that we didn't have an entertainment news program ever during the time. So it was a lot of information. So the thing is that it's too many information, so we don't know what's really happening around the Korean fire disaster. And I wanted to focus on the political and the media reaction to the event. So that's why I decided to make a website that captures the major events with the political and the media aspects and make a timeline. So people can click on the timeline and see the major headlines of the news. And then in order to keep objective view on the event, I usually get these articles from the foreign press. And then I found two interesting stories. First one is about the Prime Minister in South Korea. So after the disaster happened, he visited the victim's family. As you can see, people are so angry and angry. So right after the day, he resigned from the position. And then after 2 months, he gained his position back. Wow. But it's not on the news. So not many people know about he gained his job. And then and this one is about President Sarah. So after the disaster happened, he visited the victim's family. And in the news that we got from the news media is like she's visiting the family, and then the families are welcoming her, and then they are like blessing her. But what we get from the social media is like people are yelling at her, and sometimes cheering at her. So the media completely edited the actual video, and then people got so angry. And later, 1 month later, the reporters from the KBS, they feel really guilty, and then they admitted that they edited the video. So later, like 1 month later, the reporters from the KBS, they went on a strike, and the head of the news department got resigned. Then I want to talk about the quality of life. I was curious about like how the quality of life differs in each country. So I got data from the OECD. Do you guys familiar with OECD? So OECD is the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. So they do a lot of research related to the quality of life. That's why I get data from them, and they selected 11 topics related to the quality of life. That is like satisfaction, civic engagement, community safety, health, environment, education, work-life balance, staff, income, housing. In the OECD, there are 34 nations joined, so like North America and European countries, Australia, Korea, and Japan. So I wanted to show all the data as a one display. So here, this figure represents one index, one hospital, and then each axis represents each country, and the radius represents index value. And then there is a circle, it represents the OECD average, and only the highlighted one is selected. So this is the website. So you can see the whole picture at once. So when you hover in, like there is the United States, you can see how the United States are their data shown in the whole picture. Like, yes. Yeah, next one. And this one is about Korea. And like here, this one is the average, and Korea Korea has the high city index almost. So as you can see, by only watching the pictures, you can see first they don't have a many differences in countries, but in the states they have a lot of big differences. So you can see that what each index shows the big differences and each index shows the little differences by watching the
they are OECD countries, so we suppose they all live. But in the income, they have a big diversity.
Yeah.
I'm wondering why. Yeah. Or.
So I want to talk about it in the day. Okay. So I wanted to compare the South Korea and the United States. First, the community is different. So it's about community of social network, so text network. So United States has a community of social network, but Korea doesn't have. And then I want to compare the work-life balance. It shows that employees working very long hours. So here, United States people work so much, but Korea they work so much. So Korea works a lot. In the job, personal earnings, United States we get this amount, but we gain like average. But household net financial rent. The United States have a highest household net financial rent, but interestingly, even though we have an average income, but we're like much lower than the average in household net financial. So it was interesting that the personal earnings not always go to the household net financial. And I want to talk about then what is the real true South Korea, and this is the data visualization project first data visualization I've done, and it's about Korea's suicide rate. I'm not sure you guys know that Korea has the highest suicide rate in almost the nation. So it's a good population. This project is done by the faculty, and this one is Korea, and this one is Japan, and this one is United States.
And this is the year, right?
Yeah, this is the year from 1985 to.
Depends the blue one. Blue one, right? This is the purple one. Okay. Sorry, it's so blue.
Sorry. So 1997, there is the African financial crisis. As you can see, Korea increased the suicide rate, and then Japan also increased the suicide rate. And in 2003, for the first time, Korea has ranked number 1 among OECD nations in suicide rate. And in 2009, we had the highest suicide rate in history. So this is every dot means the depth. So the number of points represents the number of steps from the suicide. And then this is divided into the age group from 5 to 75-year-old. And you can see the representative among age group. And then this is about like Korean former president. So for the first time in the history of the world, he was the only and the first president who make a suicide. And then when you put the 5 to 16, I think it's amazing that so young people to make a suicide.
How do you see in the next story how they do that? Is they jumping down or open the gas? How they suicide?
Actually, the method they use is depends on the age and it depends on the environment. Like for the people they live in rural areas, they try to use the things like they use for the farming, topics for the farming to kill the frogs. Yeah. So it depends on the area, but I think the interesting thing is that reasons are very different. Like some people make a suicide because they didn't get a good grade from the school, or some people make a suicide because they cannot go into the good company. But the thing is that like it's also happening in another countries, but only Koreans choose to make a suicide for the same reason. I think that is the problem. So,
So this is very interesting. Are these all public data?
yeah.
Okay, and how do you find the representative news articles?
I just found it by Google.
Oh, okay, so just searching them.
Yeah, searching. Yeah. So I talk about the stories that I found from the data, and I hope it's interesting. And I like data visualization because it helps me to understand the human and society, and it helps easier to share the story with the people. And I think if we can share the stories that we want to know and we need to know easily, then we can start making a change. Thank you for your time.
So actually, is there any questions? Eugene could describe a little bit about how you collaborate with like scientists in like that. Yeah, I know, but maybe you could describe a typical process because you do a lot of collaboration with different departments. Right? You do a fellowship.
For the suicide case of visualization, I was collaborating with my friend. She's majored in philosophy, I think. So she knows a lot about the topic. So usually it started with the conversation that we worried a lot about Korean society, and then we wanted to show what would be the representative data that like talk about the problem, and then we decided maybe suicide could be the interesting topic. So we did research by ourselves, and then very much designer visualization came up with, but we are still working on it. I think it's for the interesting topic, I think it's important to create a conversation. Like this kind of meeting, we started talking about like similar interesting topics, and then we started collaborating. Because in the lab, we are collaborating with another different departments, but it's for like it's not for my own interest.
So, the things like that is I'm interested too, because before I have ever covered with a professor who did the research in Taiwan University, and he also did a similar research, and he captured the data from Taiwanese government, and he made a correlation about how high you live is have a positive connection with how high you suicidal. So no, I mean maybe you live in Temple. Your suicide rate is higher. Your suicide rate is higher than.
It's like if you have high income, then you maybe you have higher suicide rate than regular people.
So I think this is
That's what you said. No.
Actually, the result is maybe you live in Temple and you are more likely suicide than people live in possible. Yeah. But
it's a high. Oh, it's a high. So not the income.
Yeah. But when the social scientists they got this result, they have to tell stories. Actually, I think most of them are not really lost. So they have to find, just like they have to find some possible factors, and they will search the sociology theory and can say something. Yeah. So I think data scientists should cooperate with other fields, and just like using that, they have a conversation, they will people and make the difference.
I'd like to follow the previous question, because in terms of suicide, because do you think it is possible to predict the suicide tendency for individuals by collecting data, like what kind of website you go to? Is that possible? If it is possible, how can you describe the data process? How is deciding the tool or prediction of suicide tendency?
Well, in my research, I see a lot of research. I looking at what kind of subjects people in Korea, people want to look about economy, like how to plan by themselves. They don't really read novels. So it begins to more practical. There is a lot of reasons, but I think it's really difficult, and that's why we can really make that problem. Because in Korea, if someone makes a paper, and then or people think this is the reason for suicide, and then they make a policy for that, but this is not the only reason to make a suicide. And there is another event happening, and then they make a policy for that. So I think the problem is they need to look at what is the real problem, but they only want to look at the problem, the reason that they
I think my question about this is because when you're presenting data visualization, it is as if you're kind of redecorating or representing what's already out there. But I think in truth, you're actually producing new knowledge, right? By the way you chose to present it, by the kind of narrative you choose to do. And I think that as social scientists, that when we want to tell a particular story, that there's a load of theories and studies that people have already done so that we can use them to rule out the alternative hypotheses. Like in terms of suicide, if we gather big data, we can just say, oh yeah, now I found a correlation between high floors and people jumping off the floor, right? But in traditional science, you actually have to think about what is the sample, what is the population, where is the hypothesis come from, what are the theories in behind. So in a way, I think it's a bit dangerous, right, to think about data visualization as, it definitely does not tell an objective side story, right? But I'm just thinking about what's the process, the ethical process of thinking about, is there alternative hypotheses there? How do we keep checks and balances, right, of the results?
I can react. I think when we use alternative hypothesis, this means it's in a sense it's statistics field, but it's a little bit different. Okay. Actually, data visualization is that in statistics we call it descriptive statistics, and you want to realize the correlation or causal effect between root cause one thing or the other thing. It's not data visualization trying to do. Data visualization just try to explore the truth for you, but they never tell you why you need to combine social science knowledge and more your statistics models, such as the propensity score metric, something like that. And I think it's
right. I think my question is when we see this picture, right?
Yeah.
It's on the website, right. And for someone, a layperson who's not trained in social sciences, to see it, okay, this is the objective fact about suicide in Korea, right? Because the powerful image of visual realization, so it presents itself as truth, but as you say, it's not a causal relationship, right? Yeah. So I don't know, like you talk about that in the film in terms of, of course, this kind of information will be widely read. So what is the ethical issue behind, right? This kind of knowledge transportation.
When I first make a visualization about the system, and then I present it in the ICT show, and then one woman next time by watching the visualization, and it was very touching. At the time, I was focusing on finding the story and then deliver the exact story. And then now I realize that maybe it could be a different issue, but I think it's more interesting to let users find their own stories from themselves. So I started to visualize the data like the old one. I don't deliver only one information, only one story, but people can find their own story.
I think it's just like people have different knowledge. There's somebody who does data visualization. They will react their own story from the data visualization.
I actually have a follow-up question. It's not about how the data is presented, it's about how the data is defined. As social scientists, what interests me the most is that the data claims itself that it presents the truth, but can it? So I'm interested in whether like big data scientists are bothered by the categorization and definition of the data. Because social scientists who take the more like constructive view, all these kind of things can like develop that into different like true stories.
Actually, it's very different.
data, just like I said, the MTV story. They just want to know their client's behavior. So they capture their client's ideas and realize what they did, which website they search. But in social science, the other big data in Taiwan is called the health insurance data. And everyone all have you have the card, right? The insurance card. And when you see the doctors and the doctors give you any medicine, you all have reports. And the data is really, really good. And it's true, but the government didn't explore it. That's for everyone. So it's a real big data. And you said in social science, they capture the big data. Right.
No, that's not my question. My question is more about definition. So, for example, you give us an example of your father browsing from website, but what and what's browsing? Yes, and what's the Chrome website? How the Chrome website is defined. So, but it's by like using this kind of data, big data, like technique. You are telling us as if you can define your brother by like him browsing local Chrome. So there are a lot of definitions, like basic definitions involved in like collecting data.
Like for example, they are doing like
yeah, definition.
Yeah. How you define that?
Yeah. So that it comes back to
everyone
the old
define
question.
it.
Yeah, that is.
I think the very good point is more. It depends on your social science knowledge, right? Just like that part. In social science, I know they will make an index, maybe 4 or 5 index. They add them and start those and make it call it the last part. Now, I know in social science it's that, but in big data field, they didn't do that. They just explore maybe how many people got the cancer, non-cancer this year. All governments have this information, but they didn't show up, or you have to apply it and do a very tedious cancer, then you can got a data. But in social science, they didn't do that. They just have a system and do the statistics model and predict them, and the definition of variables that you said. And it's up to social science knowledge.
For me, the data visualization is somewhat related to someone. So what you deliver to text. For the weekly data visualization in the website, when you hover the index, there is a description with a below what is the specific definition of this index and then what is the measurement and how it is. So I think it's about your own responsibility that tries to like deliver as much information you want to deliver to the people.
Do you think that's the kind of like the people like you doing the data visualization? What's the role nowadays that people do the data visualization play?
Actually, there is two different areas. One is about data artist area, and then the other one is data governance. It depends on the area where you're interested in, and then certain data could maybe fit into one area like governance. I think data visualization is a new field, and then the multimedia tries to use the data visualization to deliver the information more in like nuclear time than multi-temporal. So I think on the data visualization, I think now they are building about this existing visualization. We didn't have this before. So I think we are in the stage of what we need to deliver to the visualization. And then that is the case where you are need to like have, when you see the data visualization, you question what data they are using and then what is the definition of the data. You shouldn't just believe the data.
I have two questions about the Korean government and the civil society. First is in South Korea, the government, the public sector has a duty to disclose their information and data. And what kind of information in the data they will disclose? They will disclose the party. And if they don't, can you ask them to show their data, or you have to file suit? And the second question is as say we had the government level in Taiwan, and if they want to do something else, they have to cooperate with some other human rights groups, because those human rights groups have more information and more focus on some specific issues. So I want to know that if there are some other groups, the human rights group, maybe not human rights group, just the civil group in South Korea are also focused on this kind of issue.
What was the first
How it's more it's how to get the data to the survey and how South Korea, the open data in South Korea, what's the situation there?
It's not that difficult to get suicide rate data because Korea is not so famous for suicide. So there are a lot of organizations are researching on that topic, and then a lot of like professors are researchers doing the projects on the Korean suicide rate. So it's not that difficult. But the interesting thing is that Korea, when you go to Korea, you cannot never be away from the Wi-Fi. In the subway and then on top of the mountain, you already have the connection to the internet. So technology is like huge. My mom can use technology. But the thing is that we are not active at how to use the technology or data. So government, they started really open the data, but they don't open the data yet at all. So when you want to get data from the government, you have to submit a report that why I need this data. It's so close to the Korean society. So whenever I want to get the data, I usually get data from other organizations, like international organizations. And then actually I was working for the second semester. I was working at human rights non-profit organization in South Korea, and then there was a lot of like government pressure. It was very difficult to like report the news report.
I think probably that for the data, you can have you want that. You like you said first, you have to do. You don't know the theory yet, so you collect data. How to make sure that what kind of run you want to have. For example, you want to like one of the field that you feel like you can collect like the income, like even like go for the how many. Yeah, so how do you decide that? How complete is it? And the second slide, as the topic. When you put the data, make the data is not that effective. It's not going to be reliable. So when you do analysis, the complete analysis is wrong. So how to do good basic problem.
Your question, but I think the problem is it's not. I think it's not really like it's big data question, like big data simple question, right? And when researchers, I'm not expert. I just collaborate with a lot of people, and they will have a research question first. Then they define a sample set, the questionnaire, and from there questionnaire to the population. They have different sampling methods. So maybe they cannot capture a lot of information, like you said. Maybe they only have their demographic variables, like your age, your sex, and your income, or they have no idea about what your religion or where did you live. But I think it's the research limitation, and the researchers need to know what's that, and when they define the questionnaire, they need to consider that. But I know some, because in Taiwan, when you have a project and you define the questionnaire and you sample it to the Taiwanese people, and after you have it 2 years, you have to store your data to the site, and you can download it. But maybe I know some researchers will use those data and to try to manipulate those variables. For example, maybe I have no idea when will you birth, but I know when the questionnaire is captured to minutes, and I also know when, for example, the survey is in 2010, and in 2010 you are 10 years old. Then I know when you first died. So you have to see someone here. I know you birth in 2000. So just like that, researchers will do that.
Already limitations in the investment. So I think it's related to the how to frame the data when you deliver it. Like you need to define your data, like frame it, and then maybe you already need to reference here so people can see equal validation conducted research, so they can have equal reviews than other organizations.
And in the big data field, they don't have to do a problem because their variable is really, maybe they only have two variables. They only know which website you search and consider where to live. That's it. Because they have your ID and they got your web search website home. That's it. Then they have utilization. So in big data fields, most of them don't have enough variables. So if you try to do some causal effect inference, statistical inference, to the big sample data is not big data.
Don't afraid to ask any easy question. All the statistics question I don't understand at all. I don't do any research. So we could ask some questions about data visualization as well. So don't worry about that like academic question.
I would like to ask another kind of question. I'm interested, could you talk more about, in your presentation, there is a hacking part. Because there is brief server and there's a hacking part. We haven't talked about much, because what I'm interested in database is about, that's my imagination, it's about how Amazon knows what goes like that. And that's pretty precise.
Perfect.
You know? So it's related to the hacking skills, right? So every time I read,
actually, it is not only hacking skills. They will calculate. So it's called algorithm. And it's between the mathematics and statistics and hacking skills. So it's much like machine learning. So actually, data scientists, I know that around the world, people really call data science now a lot, and because not everyone or not everything. So the professor, academic professor, did a research here. The computer science, they will know Oh, they are just like a hacker, the illegal hacker. They try to attack the government. Yeah. You're a hacker.
I'm really interested, so in your field of data science or big data research, are there different kinds of epistemology? So in terms of, so now we're kind of sounding like the bigger the data, the closer it is to truth. Yeah. But in critical epistemology, that is heavily critiqued, right? So for instance, if I want to know Taiwanese population, I want to describe this population, all the census, right? The best census you can get from 2014, but it actually does not account for instance, LGBTQ and their household rate. Yeah. Because it is a oppression issue, right? So a lot of population are actually invisible even in the biggest data ever, right? So that's a different kind of epistemology than the bigger the better. So I'm wondering if there's a lot of debate around this.
Yeah. That's also the other problem I discussed with a lot of academics.
Sorry.
Just like you did the suicide, right? Mm-hmm. Maybe in statistics they will data in this big sample it's not as big as it's good. Right. For example, if you capture 1 million people in your data, 1 million, and in statistics, they will do a model and say it's significant. It means this factor has this effect. The significance is up to a p-value. Right. You guys know that? Yeah. But you know p-value? No? It's probability. It means maybe only 1% people don't like data visualization, and 99% people like data visualization. So they make a causal inference that people like data visualization.
Oh, okay.
But
what about the 1%, right?
Yeah, as you said, in LGBT, LGBT, they are minority.
Not in the university, I think.
Yeah, so it's hard to make the concept in the big sample data.
But so the big data doesn't really actually want to make causal inference either, because it's about profit, right? About how can I utilize this set of browsing activities so I can make certain advertising. So he actually doesn't concern the issues we want to talk about, right? About social inequality. So there's a lot of
problems between here. So that's why I think data visualization is very important. Because they are not really objective. One, it's just tell you the truth. And if you want, everyone who wants to know the social effect, just like I have a friend, not really friend, just Feng. And he's a doctor in Yu. He studied political science with Yu, and he tried to make a causal inference that Ma Ying-jeou, president, is a Taobao when Ma Ying-jeou visits the price more times, and the candidate will lose his campaign more popular. Yeah, but he didn't consider other more important factors. So when you make the causal effect, it's really dangerous. So after I study a lot of statistics materials, I am afraid of making the
Okay. Yeah, so I think in the visualization now we can more visualize data in couple of ways. You can make you can find their own like their own
I think I like data visualization because their own story based on their knowledge. Just like the government will take the expenditure, government expenditures, they make you supervisor. I think the function is like, and
Actually, I'm not a data science and I don't understand statistics, but I could briefly describe why the big data become like free popular topic. It's more like because there's a computer, so everything becomes digitized. And before that, you might have to do like tons of math calculation to decode a lot of stuff, and now machine can do that. So machine could read the data and read the number, and you, based on the number you have, and you could know a lot of things you didn't know before. And I think the role for the data visualization scientists or journalists, they are playing the role is like they try to capture the number and make it understandable for the general public, like make the number alive for most of the people. So I think that's the thing. That's based on my understanding.
Yeah, I have a general question. Want to ask you, what's the difference between data art and data visualization? Because I know that data art that do a lot of data visualization with fancy. I have no idea. I'm wondering, if it's helpful or what do you think?
Artists don't think about helpful. I could briefly talk about the work I'm doing recently. So I'm doing interaction design in like site-specific installation. So we do a giant screen in the space. So nowadays, a lot of clients will ask us like, oh, we want to do the data in space. So they will register, like maybe I gotta wear the data. So today when I walk out of the room, I will see like, oh, today is raining day, in like dynamic right away show up there in your building, so you can know some information and it's constantly changed. So I think there still have some function there for I won't call it data visualization, and I won't call it data art because it's like kind of in between. And I think for the data art is like because data is more like pattern of the life, like your brother browsed the poem, how often he browsed, which website he go to, and what type of poem he like, and that could be constantly changed. And then if they could represent the interesting pattern, then for the data artists, they might think that that's the interesting pattern. In that way, that's my understanding about that. But usually we talk about that more.
I learned the data visualization from the data artist person, and then I like his work because he understands the data really well, and then he delivers the data visualization by considering the features of the data. So I really like it. I think the role is different in data artists and data journalists. Like data artists, or in my opinion, they are more about creating the experience using the data. It can be subjective, but in the data visualization using in journalism, you should be very objective and you should be very careful about what data you're using and the representation of the data, what could be the impact of the representation. So I think when you're doing the data art and the data journalism, you should consider different aspects because the audience is different.
I have a question. I just want to say just usually.
Oh, sure.
Perfect. Yeah. So I'm one of the organizers of Yenting Chapter. So we are going to hold a hackathon here sometime in April, May. So I just want to invite everybody to check it out and as possible. So what will happen is I think most of the people here are social scientists. So in the hackathon, we're going to have a lot of web developers, programmers, designers. So if you have any ideas, or if any interest, you know a lot about data, you know how to assemble data, but you don't know how to present it or make it visual, you can come to a hackathon and you can team up with developers, designers, and you will make a perfect project, such as the project visualization. And usually we do a lot of stuff like that. For example, there's air quality visualization, there's local election visualization, and not just visualization, but do a lot of things, like for example, like the censorship or something. So you can, if you are interested in that, you can search on Facebook, usually GDV Mentong searching, and then we'll keep you updated when you have time. Thank you.
So, any questions? Actually, we have discussion until 6. So if you have any question or want to discuss about more specific academic question, or you want to talk to Youjin about her data visualization live in the MIT, you are really welcome to stay. And we have discussion until 6, so you can chat and talk. Or you want to talk to GDV about their hands-on. So we will have everyone has our Facebook page, right? So all the events will publish on the Facebook page. And
sorry. Our Café Philo has next event. Hsin-Hui.
February 13th. It's Friday at Columbia. For Valentine's Day.
If you don't have, if you have boyfriend or girlfriend, you could bring it.
What is it about? What is the topic? The topic is about media management for political campaign. Yeah. So Just follow us on Café Philo NY, then we'll have the event published.
Or you want to join the Café Philo, or you can just come talk to us.
You want to speak?
Or come to speak. Yeah, it's your spot. Or you have any question, you can welcome to ask. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you too. Let's take a picture together.
我的百香果标。
谢谢。好好。
对。而且对他，要不然做的是冰箱后面啊。对吧？因为其实现在我的节目上发现他是看到自己要很对，他不是第一个，对，没错，他我刚刚有做王子讲，他做的东西都是他对，其实因为 big data ，big data 基本上是这很简单，他们不敢去做一些因为 big data 有一些他做比较多的是测算，就是要那一种就很细节的东西，去算说未来会到什么，他们知道什么。对，他们预测是未来，不太像是我们在做大概是这样。主修什么？地理。他有要拍戏。就是有上得到。对，他上得到。 回到最后面的关键机会。大家可以讨论。
如何过去？哎，你说的好了没？
这么多哎，因为我们知道就是后面是有位置的，对啊。我觉得，没有，我就觉得这个啊，还是要让他表演下去啊。我想会就是比较活灵活现，会动啊，然后会变啊这样子。
对啊，我就说穿了。没有啦，
下降，基本上
你要讲人口抽样，你要就是你的人口是什么 population， 对，那个很严谨的东西。对啊，而且就是比方，可是问题是，很多东西，比方你要调查韩国的，那你要很清楚的 population 就是韩国啊，就是在这里的人啊，我觉得还是有一个边界的啊。然后你的人口数的 population 就是韩国所有人。然后呢？比方说他可以知道每个，然后他收集每个代码嘛，然后你的浏览的习惯之类的。可是你知道这台电脑，我们3次人在用吗？对啊。对啊，或者是说，对啊，或者是说，我用手机上网，你知道手机上网可能我有你的 IP， 那我的电脑用上网，然后我的 iPad 用上网，那你可以看我3次哎，在统计以后这是不应该发生，对不对？会冲突的，这是有问题的啊。可是当然，我觉得也许非常有效，是说，因为你可以收集到不同的习惯，然后有人用手机上网可能都在做什么 ，iPad 上网可能都在做别的事情，然后用电脑又做别的事情。那可是会他怎么样清除那些资料？比方说你要怎么样，就是 process 真的 process， 就是真的那种在转接口的 process 吗？因为我会觉得可是他说那个男孩的智商很有趣，问题是，就像他讲的，很多人可能是因为比较学业压力太大，或者失业，或者是没有办法找到工作，那问题是这个没有办法呈现出来啊，怎么办？那如果传统的做法，可能说我们设个音感痛苦指数，然后痛苦指数要怎么测量，然后怎么样做这样。对啊，还是传统的对啊，量化研究啊，对啊。而且我感觉像他们那个也是有一个那个投影界，现在这个限制啊。对啊，而且你说那个什么，靠那个，用传统的用，不是传统，就是不能直接用那个钱来衡量，因为那个跟 buying power 不一样。对，在台湾2万美金的收入，其实可能还是很多的，这跟美国比啊，因为这 buying power 不一样，对啊，所以这个。我就所以说到底就是说，你们刚才讲都是对的，就讲说怎么测量，对，要比方说测量工时这件事情，那通常雇主都施报低报啦，然后那个实际上你工作的时间搞不好是更长，对啊，所以就是说你根本测不出，对啊。还是一样啊，他们是冒险者啊，他们是非法干人，就是他们是人家给他，不是他自己做的啊，还是中山这个专业。 哦，我觉得那个还好解决一点，因为中国话那个只是说可能我们政府是有点广告之类的，一些东西会不会很多人知道？那个对话，至少在快的，出的快的东西，我觉得那个还算相对清楚。但是像我们讲的压力啊，然后什么东西，对啊，对啊，就我觉得。我知道，我觉得这样听起来就变成说，这个东西很酷的，但是就变成是真的文章，就是被他真的文章，就是它显现出来，然后会动，然后漂亮，然后所以如果是还是需要，我觉得这个才要重点。我知道了。他把什么测量？然后他有一个。这个是社会学家的讲法，然后社会学家然后他们讲对，因为你会发现，你就会很清楚的说，觉得刚刚在前面多人啊，把它做成动画的人，他们其实在史论里没有很大兴趣。对，他们，我觉得这个是他会像我说，他自己出来东西很炫，因为有时候有的东西是没有办法被量化，也没有办法被出来的。可是东西是实性的，你要讲，然后要写，然后会写到复杂的。焦虑，我觉得我们我想问他说，现在有这么多机构在做这些家人，他们有没有出路？他们出路发生在哪里？对不对？就像是那个台湾其实发生过自杀率有点不太下降，下降是政府分类的问题。对，就是说不是下降上升啊，因为政府以前就是我们在死亡的那个身分带里面，人类也是自杀对象，所以以前都是没有归到名的。那有自杀对象之后，那自杀率上升啊，就是这根本就就是你在人类的时候问题啊，对啊，所以我们就是要想办法解决啊，对啊，就是还是必须要就是讲出来，其实还是要写的，还是要对。我觉得说，比方说人生想不到，就是有些很多东西，我是很 hardcore 其实，比方说就是在做那些量化的那个研究什么去阶层化啦，或种族啦，他们可能都在做一些高深的统计嘛，可是统计没有办法被做成这样，做成动画啊，这种，然后我觉得。我觉得他们是可以合作，你要跟他们合作，然后把他们东西变得更那个大众可以接受的，就是这种科普化之类的。 而且我怀疑说，研究这一套，他们现在是有本土问的疑问这件事吗？他们没有啊，那我们才焦虑这个。对啊。
我做平常的日文，
晚上现班，
我比较想看到，就有点那个。
我就可以猜的，不然就换礼拜六吗？刚好我交在外地。礼拜四啊，对吗？在哪里？要大气。
哦，以后再慢慢聊。是吧？今天。
没关系啊，多关系啊，不要这样子。对啊。我上次我就看你家从那个年轻那个比一下，之前挺高级的。我们我们在开车的话，现在感觉接拐券啊，但是我多少的人数啊，他大新闻我就是教他，他们如果有人被这个人过的。
然后你那是温馨哦，两个人是多好，对。我听说过。我比较喜欢说像早晨，对啊，你三会超远，
哎呀，
没有给我一周多，没有要钱，没有啊，有时候弄东西的时候不会互相打，不然就是那个丢人一起来面对面。
我先查多一个文章，看一下经济学家的那个。然后好像成绩越来越大，他一个人要稍微研究一下，然后对，这个专家，然后你看他笔记，他发现，大概最早的30年代以来，经济学家被那个接触越来越多，然后其他以前可能物理学家比较多，然后在现在科学家就越来越多，然后在那个之后好像是什么历史跟心理学吧，然后他就稍微讲到说社会学家说，社会学家是研究很多这个问题，他们好像对这个政府啊，然后对大众影响力几乎没有这样子，对啊，然后就是社会在研究什么犯罪啊、家庭啊、这些种族啊这些很重要的问题，可是问题是他们好像对社会没有任何影响力这样子，对，不会被裁员，不会被引诱，不会访问他们，对啊，对，我在说。 所以我刚刚讲说，我今天看一个文章，讲说，他稍微统计了一下，就是说那个看，然后那个就是提到那些专家的，然后就发现大概前3年在起来，然后提到学家是说越来越多，越来越频繁这样子。然后在那个之前大概历史学家对，那现在最排名大概是经济学家是最强的，然后再来是历史跟历史啊。他们到底对啊，过去怎么样？对啊，或者发生的事啊之类的，对，因为我觉得是因为历史家他会讲故事，对，然后大家都会讲需要历史家提供的知识之类的，然后再来就历史啊、心理啊，然后那个社会学家就很少被提到这样子。我就是真的啊，因为比方说然后讲种族问题、跟什么问题，我们社会学跟文化、跟政治都有相关嘛。对啊，因为是社会学家提供问题啊。然后，而且其实大家社会学在，我记得还有个统计是说，哪一个 major 的毕业生赚的最少，赚最多跟最少啦。社会学好像是社会科学以下的产业。真的就是经济学家是赚经济学毕业的啦，社会对。哦，对了，但他们都垫底了，对。因为我就是要跟大家跟他们差不多，就是要选major毕业的，大家可能文学类差不多，对啊，论坛。然后经济学毕业大概赚最多，然后经济啊跟political science。所以难怪没有人想要学数学啊，因为人赚不多，然后就是没什么影响力，然后可是我觉得明明就是设计师啊，就研究一些对啊，没有，我就觉得，因为前 supervisor 他有做种子，他是做 technology， 然后他做量化，然后我觉得其实他们做出来的东西应该是很有用，我觉得应该很有用，因为是都没有人知道啊。比方说，他说就像那个右派政客就讲说啊，你看这些英文人来啊，然后破坏我们的那个什么社会秩序啊，犯罪率变高啊什么的。说其实研究出来是相反的，就是在那个 diversity， 就是越 diversity 的那个社区，其实犯罪率是涨的。对，然后可是他们应该会很复杂的计来出来，就比方算说怎么样算那个他们的 diversity， 对，复杂的。可这东西就不会被讲，就是因为这个就要把visualize。可是那你刚就一直是白人，问题是说他们通常都是比方说是那个 programmer， 然后或者是大家一起打，其实他们还是需要人去解释那个东西。就像你看做出来那个让计算，那做出来是怎么样的？对，其实你没有办法真的，你要有观点，他是要提供的观点啊，对啊。他一定要有能力，因为他是几个哦，对啊，对啊。就像你刚讲的，对啊，所以其实你在讲这个故事的时候，后面就是有ideology啊。没有，我只是在做这些的人有没有意识到这件事？就是的话，然后那个 analyst 他没有意识到，他们在讲一个故事，就是我们都很有意识啊，我们知道说我们在做一个写什么东西的时候，我们怎么观点很大，因为就是他们感觉他们是他们觉得他们是失败，这才是问题。想象他们都觉得我很麻烦啊。
黄色椅子就好了。
哎，那个爸爸在哪？
我要问一下，那就不要做啊。对啊，我感觉好好，拜拜。没有我的，不用我的。就这样，拜拜。
破图。就是一样在同样被动，就是高本来就是上面的界限，然后那个满满的，不好意思，要放进去了。要放回去吗？那就可以啊，对啊，对，到底要还钱啦！Yeah, I'm going to be asking help. So you're going to? Yeah, I'm going to ask you first. Get a coffee in your eyes. No. You guys were all today.
Stop broadcasting.
Thank you.